Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, a welcoming and spiritual community. My name is Meg Rivers-Wright, and I oversee administration and membership here at the church. For those of you visiting FPC for the first time, welcome. Please let us know you were here by filling out one of our visitor information cards in the pews or scanning the QR code on it. And if you fill out the card, you can hand it to an usher, drop it in the plate, or find me at the back. You don't even have to tell us you were here, but we like to know. And we'll only send you stuff in the mail if you fill out the spot on the card. We just love it that you're here. Thank you. If you would like a large print order of service or hymnal or an assisted listening device, please ask our ushers for that. Nursery care is available during the service, and children in grades K to 5 usually attend the first part of the service, which includes a part for them called Time for All Ages, and then they leave for classes with our religious education director. Today, they'll proceed to the front lawn instead of classes for an Easter egg hunt and lawn games. Ooh. And there's some fun stuff going on with hats today in Time for All Ages. Stay tuned. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in our fellowship hall downstairs or in a breakout room if you're joining us online. I would like to draw your attention to the announcements in our order of service, because somebody worked really hard on them, making them all beautiful. In particular, our FPC auction was very successful and is closed, but we still have some items left over from it, and you'll find them listed here. Luscious Belgian beer tasting. Yes, please. Nanny's old-fashioned chicken curry dinner at Rick and Linda's in Marlborough. And other wonderful things like that. And Saturday, May 3rd, the Supporting Asylum Seekers are holding a community dinner to help support asylum seekers in our area. If you're interested, please buy tickets online by this coming Saturday, the 26th, so they have a sense of how many people to cook for. Well, okay, I think that's enough. Our minister, the Reverend Dr. Cindy Landrum, is currently on sabbatical until the end of April, and during this time, Reverend Susan Suchocki Brown is our sabbatical minister, and we are delighted to have her with us today. And now, let us come together for a time of community, singing, and worship.
Wonderful is the tradition that draws us here this morning. Wonderful is the spirit of the divine that we invoke this morning. Wonderful is our rejoicing in life that we all celebrate this Easter morning. Wonderful is the possibility of rebirth that we will acknowledge. Wonderful is the spirit of spring and winter, spirit of flowers and herbs, spirit of rain and sun, source of beginnings and endings, of life and death. And then wonderful is that teacher and healer, son and friend, priest and prophet, the author of strength and hope, the bearer of the message of love and renewal and transformation and rebel rouser, Jesus. Wonderful are we who gather here this morning to celebrate the reverence of all of life and the mystery of being. Wonderful is our time together. It is good to be together. But what is especially good about this morning is that you're going to take a few moments to hunt for Easter candy, which is in the pews around you, that was brought here by Belinda, the bunny rabbit, who hopped from my backyard in Winchington and caught a ride with me to remind you always to have fun and to never lose your wonderment for nature and for sharing all the bounty of the universe, including candy and joy. So all of you, no matter your age, look around the pews closest to you, in front of you and behind you, and find the not so well hidden candy. And make sure you stop and say good morning to your neighbor and warmly greet one another. Choir, look that way. Mm-hmm. video. Yes, very good. Thank you. All right. Oh, and I need to tell you there's candy in the balcony as well. And my goodness, look who's here. Belinda Bunny not only got a ride here, and now she's up front at the altar with me to say hello to you as we start this service.
as Nancy lights our chalice, these are the chalice lighting words by Reverend Susan. Gathered here on this day of tradition and mystery, we light this chalice of our faith. Gathered here at this season of greening, emerging growth, we light this chalice of our faith. Gathered here at this time of faith, hope, and trust, we light this chalice of our faith. Gathered here as a community of seekers, searchers, and seers, we light this chalice of our faith. Gathered here honoring the various religions, traditions woven into this congregation, we light this chalice of our faith. Gathered here young or not so young, in memory or body, in belief or disbelief, we light this chalice of our faith. Gathered here in this circle of life and love, we light this chalice of our faith. Through us, this light flows, glimmers, and illuminates our path, completing the circle of life. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Please rise in body and spirit. For hymn number 61, Let the Earth Awakes Again. Lo, the earth awakes again. Please remain standing for the covenant and affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Through
We would like to acknowledge that this service is being held by a community that gathers on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We pay respect to all those Indigenous peoples who nourished this land before us, and we strive to do likewise.
Good morning. Oh, happy Easter. I would like to invite all our children and youth to come forward. You can smile. Now, I'm excited because I see some of you followed my instructions, and you have a nice Easter bonnet or a nice hat. Someone didn't bring one, so I had to provide one. Isn't she lovely? And of course, I would never show up without one of myself. Right. When you see it closer, it's a Candyland themed hat. Now I'd like to invite anyone who has a hat or bonnet to come up front. Some of them are sitting. Okay, and even if you're sitting, if you can come up front with us. With your beautiful hats, beautiful bonnets. And so in a moment, Trevor will give us some music, and we will march around so you can check out our loveliness. And we have 2 prizes, one for a hat and one for a bonnet, although maybe we'll just have 2 prizes. Sharon, if you want to show our prizes. Sharon. Okay, maybe she'll put it up in a minute. But they will receive a lovely bouquet of chocolate flowers. All right, y'all ready? Okay, we're ready, Trevor. Okay, now I need the rest of our children to come up front, take a look at our hats, and I want you all to decide 2 winners for me. Okay, now we have to have a secret conversation. Okay, I was nominated as one of the winners, but Sage said I'm disqualified because I ripped up her board game to make my hat, so. And I tore up the instructions, and I did it without her permission. Yes, ooh, bad me. So, our two winners, I forgot who the second one was. Oh, our first winner is E. And our second winner is Kelsey. So if you have a little one that's in the nursery that's going to do our Easter egg hunt, you can grab them now. As the rest of us head outside, we're going to head out this door, and then Kennedy will give us directions once we get to the back. You can, good.
This is the time in our service when we share our joys and sorrows, and I'd like to invite Anne Sadler, our lay minister.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Anne Sadler. I am one of the lay ministers here at the church. And if you need to contact us at any time, our email address is in your order of service or on the website. We did not receive any online this week, so I'm going to start with turning to the congregation. If you have something you would like to share, please raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you. You need to speak close into the microphone so that everybody can hear. After that, we'll turn to the people online. So now's the time. If you have something you'd like to share, raise your hand. We will light a final 2 candles, one for the cost of war, and the second for those joys and sorrows that we chose not to share out loud, but we keep in our hearts.
Let me just add that the joys and concerns that you share here are felt by each and every person in this community. And I want to remind you that you never have to leave here with a concern. There is the lay worship committee, but there is this wonderful community of care for one another. So if you have something heavy on your heart, find someone to share it with. And if you have a joy, do that as well, because this world truly needs it. So I want to share this reading from Richard Gilbert. He was a minister in New York, and he wrote, everything I learned in kindergarten. That's, okay. Yeah. So he writes, in the holy quiet of this promising hour of spring, may we purge ourselves of coldness of spirit, that warm spring breezes may thaw our souls. May the debris of wrongs unforgiven be gathered and discarded so that we can start anew. May slowness of spirit, frozen by cold, be quickened to every fresh possibility. May the song that has lingered too long in our lungs be inspired by twittering bird choruses. May the grime of mistakes made be rinsed from our minds with the springtime waters of self-forgiveness, and may the dust of the exhausting journey be wiped from the furniture of our lives so that it may gleam again. And may we muster the strength to do our own spring house cleaning of the Spirit.
Please rise in body or spirit for hymn number 266, Now the Green Blade Riseth. This adapted reading is by the UU Minister, Reverend Janet Bowring. Winter is past and the greening time comes. Pussy willows, snowdrops, and the crocus appear on the earth. The natural world proclaims a time of new beginnings. Days are longer, brighter, warmer. We have come through dark and difficult times, and the message is to look forward. The legend of the ancient gods and goddesses, renewed and returned to vitality, speak to our own hopes. The saga of people fleeing bondage and oppression reminds us of human courage and the will to be free. The story of the young teacher and prophet who dared to preach his message even unto death stirs us and heartens us. If we respond to any or all of these messages, hopes, and wishes, we honor the good earth and the shape of creation and the strivings of others throughout all ages until now. Easter time offers us another round of opportunity. It proclaims the good news that even in a worn and cynical world, there is still much to be savored and treasured, and that sometimes we are required to act with bravery, even in the face of peril. May this gathering help you to find the courage to move forward boldly with wisdom and love. Oh, sorry. This is a time in our service when we share our gifts. This month we share our weekly offering with the Southeast India Project, and you can read more about them in your order of service. The morning offering will now be gratefully accepted.
Ms. Belinda Bunny thanks you, choir. Having been brought up a Unitarian Universalist, you can imagine throughout the years, through other UU ministers and through my many years as a minister, I've heard and given more than one Easter sermon. Now, I've heard about the Easter plot, a story that was put forward. The theory is that the death of Jesus was a staged crucifixion to allow him to be whisked out of town for his own protection. I have heard the scientific rationale. He wasn't really dead when he was taken off the cross, and his followers, the women in particular, were able to revive him. And the pragmatists who say resurrection just is not a possibility. I've heard theories about Jesus and a naked man. This story is found actually in the book of Mark, chapter 4. They were found in the Garden of Gethsemane, engaged in sexual behavior. That was on the last Thursday night before his capture, trial, and crucifixion. And I have been part of services where the congregation hunted for Easter eggs. Oh, wait a minute, that was me. I've heard stories about Easter eggs, Easter bunnies, spring rituals, Passover, resurrection sermons, music sermons, Easter around the world, spring rites from other ancient societies. I've heard many, but actually the best explanation of Unitarian Universalist belief about Easter came from my mother. My mother was a practical, hard-working woman and a professional nurse. She wasn't what you would call spiritual, but she sure lived by and held us four kids to a high set of values, of living as good persons and trying to leave the world a bit better because we lived in it. You know, it's funny, my mother always got upset when Unitarian Universalists weren't allowed to call themselves Christian, because she said, you know, I'm not a big C Christian, but I'm a small c Christian, because I think that those teachings that Jesus gave to us are some of the best ways to live our whole life. And so she was always upset. Why couldn't she call herself a Christian? But I told her that it was because it was a heavenly laden word, and everyone heard the big C. She attended the UU church. I was brought up most Sundays, and she served on church committees as chair, treasurer, chair of search committees, you name it, she did it. In fact, that church still uses my grandmother's, Grammy B's, recipe for coleslaw and the tartar sauce that went on their lobster rolls that they sold. So we were deeply ingrained in that church. She pledged her money, and she didn't put any extra stock in going to church on Easter Sunday, except she would acquiesce and let my sister and myself buy a pretty Easter outfit as long as that outfit could be reused again and again. She was thrilled when I began to sew and thus able to inexpensively make an Easter outfit. Hats were not worn to church on Easter Sunday, lest the neighbors come to the mistaken conclusion that we were Catholic and needed to cover our heads. So when I asked her about, you know, what a Unitarian Universalist is supposed to believe about Easter, rather than telling me to go ask my Grandpa Faye or my father, which she had a tendency to do when I asked those hard questions, she said, come on over here. And she told me this story. She told me that she was very young, about age 7, when her own mother died, giving birth to twins, and that she My mother, as the eldest, had to take care of her younger brother and sisters who were aged 6 and 4. She assumed that responsibility for them. I asked her about her mother. She said, I remember very, very little. I was really young. I know that she really loved her husband, my Grandpa Fay. I know that she loved me, and I know she treated people kindly. And the one thing she said I'll never forget, she said, my mother had a very pleasant and soothing voice. That she remembered from when her mother died when she was 7. And then she said, do you remember your grandfather's mother, Grandmother Celia? And I did, because I used to spend summers in Lancaster, right down 117. And I come by that house every time I come and see you. I used to keep her company during my aunt's vacation. And she said, what do you remember about her? Well, I remember that she used to tell stories about the old days, and I was telling my son Scott, who's visiting from California, a couple of those stories today when we passed that house. And she told me about relatives, many relatives, who I never met, but who came alive by her storytelling. Now, one thing I do remember, that in her pantry, there was a large glass jar of marshmallows that never, ever was empty. Don't know how that ever happened. And after cleaning up after supper and sweeping the floor and the bathroom floors, I was allowed to go into the pantry in the back hallway and get each of us one large marshmallow. Now, they aren't like the marshmallows of today. Some of you may remember they were big, and they were gooey, and they were full of sugar, which explains my love of the Peeps, a compulsive love of Peeps, which I think came from there. And we would sit on that front porch, and we would eat our marshmallows, and she would talk about the important things in life. She would talk about her kids. She would talk about families. She would talk about her memories of her husband, who I never, ever remember meeting. And she would talk about being compassionate and being forgiven. She had many kids, so she learned the art of forgiveness. And she learned the art of non-judgment. She learned the art of taking care of other people. She was a good person. And my mother said to me that as I got older, more and more of the people that I loved and cared for would die. And she said, these are the people that you would pass on the life lessons to you. They would give you life lessons, and you should remember them always because of the lessons they gave you. And then my family, being great storytellers, also told tales about other people, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln, Susan B. Anthony, you name it. We were taught to remember those stories. And that was the memories that we had, Buddha and Jesus and Muhammad, and all of those remembrances that we had. And she said, they're going to influence you even though they are dead. And she told me that I would not go through life without having many, many people I loved and having them die, and that they were gone, I would always retain the precious memories and the ability to carry on the dreams and the goals that they maybe couldn't complete, they couldn't carry on. And this, she told me, is the enduring message of Easter. All persons are special, and their lives and deaths matter, and that remains of their memories and of their works is what we are to reflect on when they are gone. And if possible, and if their life gave special examples of truth and valor, compassion, mercy, harmony, and humor, we had an obligation to remember and to carry on and continue their good works. She said the only thing she knew about Easter was that when the women went to prepare Jesus' body for burial, after they rolled back the stone, they found that the tomb was empty. And then a religion grew up around and out of that emptiness, out of that nothingness. And there are many myths and stories surrounding his life and his death and what happened after the tomb was empty. She said, there's many stories. But those stories are helping you to make out of life and death an experience that can get you through those hard times that are going to happen to you. And she said, you know, it really matters what you're going to do when you feel that you're in that empty and dark tomb. That's what really matters, not the other side. But what do you do when you're in that space? And how are you going to get out of it? And when you're confronted with it, she said, the best thing to do is keep doing unto others and do the best that you can. And she said, you might want to hide in that dark space, but you can't hide for long because it'll always find you in some way or another, and you will always have to come forward. And she said, yeah, Jesus died, that's true. But most of all, what he wanted to do lived on through his message and through those who followed him and those that carried his path forward. And she told me, you know, really resurrection is the ability of the human spirit to transcend the empty tomb and to walk out of a place of sadness and loss and despair and carry on in spite of it. Now, we know that Easter is tied to the season of spring, the season of renewal and rebirth. And maybe you know this, but in the Roman Catholic tradition, and hence ours, Easter is the first Sunday following the first full moon after the spring equinox. This is the latest that Easter can be right now, today. And she reminded me that one only needs to step outdoors to hear renewal, to hear rebirth, to hear the noises of the birds and the frogs and the peepers, one of my most favorite sounds in the whole world. And she said, if you listen real carefully, you can probably hear the trees and the flowers too. And she said, that is what it's all about. And it's funny to me that even the word Easter has its roots in the word estrus. Coincidentally, Esther was my mother's first name. And that word is translated as fertile. And this is a time of fertility for all of us. But fertility rises out of times of rest and darkness, out of times of being in tombs that wrap precious life in safe and sacred space. And sometimes, as the Reverend Sarah Moores Campbell writes, this is a comfort, and sometimes it's an escape. But tombs can hold that germinating seed until it safely sends forth its roots. Tombs that hold the precious bodies of our beloved ones when they die, until they remain and are alive in our minds and our hearts. That is the message. That is what we remember. And when we speak about them and we talk about them, when we share their stories, they continue to live on through us. So today, as you look to this day, and as you reflect on the mystery of the Easter story, don't forget that the greatest gift we give this world are our ideals, our visions, our goals, and our dreams. And we are left to carry messages of hope and clarity and truth and peace, and most of all, love for all of humanity, of which we are a part, every bit of it, because we're part of one big web that binds us together. And this is my message to you. So happy Easter, happy spring. Step out of the tomb of hopelessness and despair and join together as we are in this lovely community and as we sing praises and we say, Alleluia, blessed be. And now, if you'll join in hymn number 163 and rise in body and or spirit as willing and able, for the earth forever turning. May the Spirit of life, a gift of earth's renewal, come awake in our minds again, and may we behold it, and may we find joy in holding it in our minds and our hearts. It is time to greet one another and go forth.